Hello Canada's Drag Race fans, my name is Jared, welcome into my channel. We have so much to talk about, so much. We are in episode 4, this episode is called Out of the Closet. Now, let's start all the way at the top. So first off, these rules about the golden beaver, which is most certainly a regularly colored beaver that doesn't even have a gold scepter, have been really shaky and odd all season. It started out week 1 with, I think, a lot of authenticity from Kitten, who wanted to try so hard to be fair and use the right judgment and make sure that the right person got saved from the bottom. And I think everybody was playing really fair. And then Aurora came in with a massive curveball and decided to do a strategy move. Do I blame her? No. However, I do think that Aurora tried to paint it off like she was trying to be really fair by not saving Girlfriend, even though it would have been a really strategic decision to do that, to save her, knowing that she probably wouldn't perform well the following week. And also, in my head, it came off like, all right, we can get the strongest competitor, this old lady, and boot her out of here, because she probably doesn't know how to lip sync that well. I mean, she's 50-something years old, and here we've got someone who's a young person who probably is going to fit this style of song. A song that is literally all about sex and sexuality. So Girlfriend should have been able to send Kitten home. That's not what happened. And so Gagger, now she sort of has to backpedal, and Aurora has to make it seem like she was just trying to play the game as fairly as possible. Is anyone in the room buying it? I don't know. And then, of course, later on tonight in the episode, spoiler alert, the golden beaver gets used in yet another interesting way. So the Canada girls are showing once again that they are playing by their own set of rules. They are doing whatever they want because really there's no consequence for playing a certain game. It's not like the US seasons where if someone plays dirty, they're gonna get death threats for the next 7 years. The eyeballs are less significant on Canada's Drag Race versus other franchises. And the season 2 girls really made sure that everybody knew. The opportunities were not as abundant after the show as they would have been if you were on a different franchise. So really, they've got nothing to lose. And I kind of like this idea of how they're playing the game. It feels very old school Drag Race. And in my opinion, for me, I think that Canada is one of the freshest seasons that exists. And I really wish that more people were watching it. God, it's so good. It's so good, and I'm really enjoying this cast a lot. So now let's get into the mini challenge, which was a photo shoot. I love these challenges, especially when they throw in a little surprise twist, and they thought the glitter bomb was really fun. Seeing everybody's reactions as they just screamed incoherently about being frightened was quite possibly music to my ears. I very much enjoyed the almost overreaction. It was very Tammy Brown yelling, "She's acting," because some of them I didn't believe they were actually that scared, and they were just like, there's a camera watching me. And Nira wins the challenge, which was so deserved. She looked absolutely gorgeous. There was no one else that I would have even put as someone that I would have thought should have taken it over her. Personal aside, I'm really enjoying how much the judges are involved, and they have been in past seasons, and I really like that Tracy got to do the last episode, and I'm really glad that Brad got to do this one, presenting the mini challenge as well as the main. It really brings a little more legitimacy to them as judges, besides the fact that they give really stellar critiques. So the main challenge is to root through Brad's closet and create a look. And I love this farce that they do in Drag Race. They did it in last season when they said, this is Michelle's house stuff. This is Carson's house stuff and Ross's house stuff that you're using to make an outfit. I think they did this with another season with Michelle's clothes, and they told the queens to make something out of her clothing. I like this idea, this farce that these people own all these pieces of clothing and they're just gonna give it all to Drag Race to shred up. Just call it the season 3 challenge and let it be a thrift store challenge and let it be that, and that's fine. But here we are, celebrating Brad's clothing and creating something new, something couture, something transformative. And there's a couple parts to this challenge that I think I want to talk about early, and that's what the premise was supposed to be. Was it about transforming the garment and making it something new? Was it about transforming the garment into something couture, both of these things combined? Or was it about creating something completely new that looked nothing like the source material? I feel like some of the judging was a little bit weird, and I'll get into that in a little bit. And I feel like there was a little bit of inconsistency with how they approached some of these looks. There's four in particular. Changing my mind. Math, I can't do it. I would like to talk about a couple of things first. And that's stuff that happened in the workroom. And that was Melinda sitting with that fabric. Because there is nothing more Project Runway than a designer sitting with fabric enveloping their body. In the way that Melinda was, just disassociating into the void, trying to let the fabric talk to you and trying to figure out what to do with that. And it was so almost nostalgic for a Project Runway season. And Melinda did reveal that she did go to fashion school. And I think that's pretty clear in some of her looks that she knows how to construct. I just don't know if Melinda knows how to design. And those are very different things. Being able to construct a garment is very different than having the personal style to understand how to design something really incredible. And I think what we saw with a lot of these looks is a lot of great designs, but not a lot of great construction. And I wonder if that's why one of them was in the bottom, but it still is a little bit odd to me. Again, we'll get there. I also really appreciated the religious and queer conversation, because that is something that a lot of people are kind of wrestling with. People that grew up religious or spiritual that don't really know how to apply that to their adult queer lives, how to justify these two concepts that always kind of seem at odds with each other. And I think that what Canada is doing that I always complain that the US just doesn't do anymore is tell authentic queer stories. Back in the day, Drag Race used to do that, and I think up until about season 9, we were getting those. And they talked about Pulse Nightclub, and they talked about body image issues, and there were some real things that were being brought up in there. Mental health, feeling like an outsider. And then starting in 10, it was, oh, you're copying my style. Oh, I'm gonna be punchy because you're a bully. And we're bringing in the mean girls thing where we're cliquey and we don't like each other because you think you're better than me. And that just kind of progressed. And I think it kind of spiraled out of control after 11. And people just really went into RuPaul's Best Friend race. And I feel like Mistress Isabel Brooks tried really hard to bring in some of that authentic, I don't know, not even drama, just television. But it wasn't real, it was produced. And we just don't really get anything besides just either best friends or petty drama. That's what the show tends to focus on in the US. And I love that Canada does have these real moments. I mean, even last episode with Girlfriend and Kitten talking about the term bio queen, and Denim chiming in about being AFAB, and those conversations that were in the workroom that are really important. And that's why I wish more eyeballs were on this show. It's so frustrating that there are so many good things happening, so much excellent content happening, Drag Race queer related, that just is not being consumed in the way that it deserves to. And I hope that people continue to tell people about this season, because this is a good one. So now let's move and scoot and boot down to the runway, where the theme is out of the closet. However, before we do that, we must talk about Brooklyn Heights and this look. And I want us to look at this. And I want you to stare at it. And I want you to be grateful that you get to exist in a universe where we get to see her on a runway looking like this, like that. Do you got it? Do you feel good? I feel good. Let's move on. I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts about who should have been in the top, who should have been in the bottom, and they were not congruent completely with what the judges said. So let's talk about Luna, who I really thought was like top 3, and maybe I'm super delulu Luna about this because I thought this was good. The puff sleeve in this color scheme with this zip right up the side. Do you see that? that slutty little zip, the accessories, the styling, the hair, the sunnies. This is a really spectacular look. I thought that was top 3, and I was gagged that Luna was safe. This was excellent even. And when I talked earlier about designing and constructing, this is one of those things that was designed well, looks really modern and chic, was transformative, and constructed well. So what was the prompt? Were they just supposed to transform something? Because if you were to look at this, I don't know if you would necessarily think that this was made from recycled materials, which maybe that's why they dinged her, but it's really good still. I don't get it. And then we have my other top 3 who was in the top 3. Kiki looked so incredibly stunning, and I have really been just standing pretty much everything that she does. I love her presentation on the runway. I love the way that this looks. It's incredible that this was made from what it was. And even the detailing at the bottom, which I didn't notice until the judges pointed it out, with the stoning, holding it down at the bottom to stretch the fabric, as well as to hide some of those inconsistencies with the length, was so genius. A smart move, and that's someone who knows what they're doing. Construction-wise, I think it was designed really well. Even this sleeve moment where it's coming off in a very Cruella de Vil. There's something really opulent about this sleeve that's happening here. It looks like someone who is going to go to a very expensive event, and I could easily see this on any red carpet. She was glowing on the runway, and I really do agree with this. This was my other top 3. Okay, we gotta talk about whatever this was. This sleeping bag, I Dream of Jeannie, Sailor Moon, Canadian something or another. I have no clue what this was. And when they were calling the names and they said, you represent the tops and the bottoms, in my brain, I audibly screamed the F word because I thought she was in the bottom. I fully thought she was gonna go home. I was like, there's no way they're gonna like this. This is horrible. The colors aren't right, in my opinion. And 2, it's designed weird. So construction-wise, this is probably one of the better things. I don't think you would necessarily know what this came from, what the materials were, that it even was recycled. So on that end, it's a strong bottom, but it's still a bottom look regardless. The headpiece is really odd and it's shaped strangely. And then you've got this bust line here. This bust line, which is nice, and the style lines are nice, but in these hideous colors that don't work together. The bows on the sleeve, this puff sleeve, don't really make sense. And they said that they really enjoyed it, and I am thoroughly confused. I don't get it. I don't understand why they like this. And then the zipper right in the front with this sort of like maxi pad skirt, because it looks like the shape of that. It's just really odd. It's a really odd garment. And I mean, I think if the fabrics were better, maybe this could have worked. Okay, I thought this was bottom 3, so I was kind of shocked she was in the top. And then we have Aurora, who I go back and forth on this. I like the hair, I like the makeup. I think the design elements on the shirt are nice. I think the skirt looks a little messy. I don't think there was enough detail on it. It's a very simple box pleat, but then it's wrinkled, like really badly wrinkled. And I just kept staring at those wrinkle lines, and that was kind of an issue for me. At least steam your garment before you go out. Put some stones on it or something. I also wasn't sure how transformative this was because the skirt is so simple and a skirt is half of your outfit. It doesn't look like there was much treatment on it, and clearly it wasn't even steamed. And then the top as well looks something pretty simple. This could have taken a lot of work. It just looks really simple, and me knowing how to sew, this isn't the most complicated garment that you could have made. Plus the embellishment that's here in this U shape is a little bit odd, and I didn't really understand that detail. It was almost like the shirt was too much, and so she felt like she had to add something to it, and then it was this, and it's fine. It's a really safe look. But I did think it was kind of like a bottom safe look, maybe. I wasn't a fan. And then we have Nira, who I really, truly in my heart thought was like top 3. I gotta be delusional. Like, I must be delusional about this runway because I thought this was incredible. Transformative? Check. Innovative? Check. Stylish? Check. Couture? Check. I thought you could easily see this on a runway. The silhouette is gaggy. I love the shoulder details. Even there was some rhinestoning that happened here. This hat, the glasses, the pairing of all the accessories with it was really incredible. The actual design of the skirt is nice. I can't really tell how well constructed it is, and maybe there were problems up close. But this line right here, this V shape that has such a deep plunge, and these straps that are just hanging on with an inch of their life from revealing a nipple are so cool looking. And then the sleeve moment, this sort of stewardess, this slutty stewardess from the future was really cute and cool and couture, and it looked like it was transformative from whatever the source material was. I was pretty flummoxed that this was in the bottom. Flabbergasted even. I'm gonna go on the thesaurus.com and figure out some other words for flummoxed, because that's how I felt. I thought this was great. I still don't understand why this was at the bottom. I still don't get it. Compared to some of the other things that were on this runway tonight, this was not a bottom look. I feel like every week I'm enjoying her more and more and more. All right, now y'all gonna be mad at me, and that's okay. I don't care if you're mad at me. I really hated this look by Venus. I think transformative-wise, there's not really a lot here. It's some fabric that's been draped around and pinned in an interesting way. And even she said she wasn't sure how it was staying together, that it was like one bobby pin away from falling apart. The asymmetry is interesting with the one sock being on and the one side being a little bit longer than the other. I just didn't really get a super strong POV from this or what it was trying to say as a garment. It felt to me, as someone who has worked with recycled materials before, using a shirt from the Goodwill that I was trying to make into something else, that the concept didn't work, and this is what we ended up with, and that's what we gotta run with. Even if it wasn't right, and it wasn't okay, I truly thought that this was gonna be in the bottom. I think this was a very clear bottom look in my eyes. On top of the fact that I don't think it was designed very well. And that's why I ask the question, what was the prompt? Was it transformative? Was it couture? Was it sewing? Was it designing? What was the prompt that they were all given in the workroom that maybe we didn't see that the judges were basing their criteria off of? Because no matter what the criteria was, this doesn't check a singular box. It looks like recycled materials. This looks like it was something that was maybe picked out from a bargain bin and then repurposed to be a drag outfit. But it's like baby's first drag. I wouldn't say this is an established queen or anybody that knows what they're doing. So on that end, this is a bottom look. The hair is nice, and that's my favorite part. So then we have Melinda, who... This is another part where I'm confused, because is this the strongest look on the runway? No. Big resounding no. This was not that creative. A sort of sexy fetish gear underneath with a really tailored suit turned into a dress. There's not a lot of transformation here. However, it's super well fitted. From what the original garment was, which was horrendous, this actually is quite well constructed, and you can tell that she went to fashion school because this fits her very well. You can tell the panels were taken apart and then re-put back together, especially with some of the design detail that's happening right at the bottom. I like what's going on right here with the sleeve being disconnected and then having a hook right underneath that comes up to it. It's very smart as a design piece, and that hook, it echoes what's going on here with the fetish wear underneath. I like the hat. Not a huge fan of the glasses, but hey, that's neither here nor there. I thought overall this was a very safe look because it's well constructed, it's well built. It is semi-transformative, but it's not enough to really bring it to the next level. And one thing they specifically mentioned was that it looked like she just took the garment and tailored it. And there's someone else in this lineup who did that too. Usually the Canada Drag Race judges are pretty consistent. but this time I felt that they were a little inconsistent. So let's talk about Denim's look really quick, because that's who I'm talking about specifically. Denim did the exact same thing that Melinda did, except Denim added some sleeves. And yes, these sleeves were cool. That moment on the runway with the sleeve reveal was really fun. But this blue knit thing really isn't that different from what they originally pulled out of the bin. Everything else underneath is really not that different or transformed. It's just styled really well. And if the goal was a transformation project, this is not transformative. Is it cool and well done? Yes. But it's the same problem of what they criticized Melinda for. It wasn't really that designed from what it used to be. Did I think it was a bad look? Absolutely not. I thought this was very safe, if not a high safe. This was not in a top 3 fantasy for me, despite how cool the sleeves were. It was very much like 4th place, in my opinion. But the presentation was cool. The makeup was really cool. I stand Denim, and I think they're a really cool performer, and I love what they do every week. I just didn't think that this was the top, and I didn't think that Melinda was bottom for the same reasons. They just didn't do a lot with the garment that made it really stand out from what it used to be, but it was enough that it was still fun and cool and interesting. At least that's what I thought about both of them. So now we move to the last big old flopzilla of the night, and that was Amy Yonsei Chanel. Woof. I want to know what was going through her head when she made this. I want to know what was going through her head when she styled that wig. I want to know where the problem started. And I feel like it started with that loofah. I feel like she had an idea that she was going to use that loofah and just create this really intricate skirt moment. And then it all fell apart. The sandals in the hair, the teardrop things on this curtain, the weird misshapen skirt that's happening with the loofahs just vaguely hanging on, and then this very flat wig. There's just so many problems with this look, and the judges talked about it and they went into it, and I don't need to say anymore, except that this is really deeply upsetting. And something that I've never really enjoyed is when a queen comes into Drag Race with a solid POV and they come in with really well constructed garments, and then it comes time for them to make something and they cannot apply their aesthetic to their creations. And not everybody's a designer, not everybody is a seamstress, and that's okay. But you should be able to infuse whatever your drag is into your creation, even if you don't really know what you're doing. I didn't think that this was a proper representation of her at all. I didn't get a single part of who she was in this, in any capacity. It was just overall really, it was rotten. This was a rotten look. And I do believe that she deserved to be on the bottom for this. So Kiki is the winner of the challenge, which I thought was very well deserved. I really enjoyed what she did on the runway. I loved her presentation. And we go back into the Untucked. Again, these Canada girls are not messing around. Melinda is yelling and screaming and being angry, like violently angry about the judges. And then the editing crew decided to cut to her in the workroom saying that she was grateful to be judged and that she was gonna take whatever criticism they were gonna give to her, and then back to her yelling and saying she wasn't trying to be disrespectful, and then yelling again. And then out of nowhere, Amy and Nira start to yell at each other. And I don't know where this came from. It was so out of left field. It was so out of pocket. Just the screaming and the shouting, and I think it originated from, well, Melinda doesn't want to be here, so you should save one of us because we do, and she doesn't deserve it. And then it became this like screaming headbutting match. And I talked in the beginning of this review about how the Beaver rules are so weird and they're doing whatever they want to do. Kiki threw another wrench into this weird soup. And really, I think this Beaver could go to anybody. There's no consistency anymore. I'm just excited to see whatever drama happens, because that's what's going to happen. So there's this huge fight. They're blowing up. They're yelling. And Amy has the gall, the audacity, the gumption, and the nerve to say, well, then put Melinda up to be safe and let us lip sync battle. let us fight. She had the gall, the gumption, the nerve, and the audacity to say that without knowing a singular word to that song. Not one. But she faked it. She faked it hard. So we get to the lip sync, and Kiki saves Melinda. Melinda looked not only gooped, but also like she was gonna poop her pants. And then scoop that poop out and throw it at the judges. And then take one last throw at Kiki for saving her. She looked like she wanted to go home. And she got used in a pond to create television. And was that great ass television? Yes, that was great television. I was so gagged. I started yelling at my computer, yelling in just gaggery, not angry yelling, in gooped yelling, because I could not believe it. I did not think that I would see anything of this caliber on television, on a Drag Race season of all things. This to me was the same level of gaggery as everyone kind of gassing up Jan in All Stars. That lip sync happening. And then Alexa saying, wait, Rue, I have another lipstick. Pulling it out of her bra titty and revealing that she had both of their names. And them having to call Trinity K. Bonet from the back to come and choose who was gonna go home. It had that level of gaggery. It was that level. And even then, this was bigger. This was bigger than that. That Jan moment paled in comparison to this Melinda, Nira, Amy, Kiki thing. This combustion. So the song is Come Through by Priyanka featuring Lemon. And I wanna give a really big praise to Canada's Drag Race for not being afraid to reference or not reference past Drag Race contestants, bringing them in as judges and featuring them as a lip sync artist. This would never happen on a Ru season. There is no way that RuPaul would ever be like Alaska or Bob or Manila or Latrice, anybody who's ever made music. Lucy LaDuca, can we use your song please as a lip sync song to pay hummus to your fungus and give a little bit of props to you for being a legend, being a part of this show? They would never do that. So the fact that Canada's Drag Race does that really, I think, is very special, and that's what makes this season so good. I need to be honest and come out about something. I have watched this lip sync 10 times. 10. I have a problem. And I probably will continue to watch it at least a dozen more times by the time that this video finally airs. This was so good. Not because of Amy. Let's not get any words twisted here or any minced words or anything. This was not because of Amy. Amy sold it to me. She did. She was great. Nira killed this. Nira ate, devoured, assassinated, and steamrolled this lip sync. The way that Nira's body movements were the whole time, the way she was animating and emoting and posing, from the moment that she did this at the beginning, or it was like this, and then to all of those hot poses she was doing the whole time, to the point where Lemon's verse came in and she started rapping. All of it was incredible. The splits, the pouty baby. I will say the only thing that Amy did that I think was really incredible was that she really faked her way through the song. I think if you were looking at her mouth, you'd see she didn't know a single word. But her face and her eyes and her body was telling you she knew what they were. She just couldn't get them out of her mouth, which is fine. That happens in a lip sync. And I thought she held up pretty well despite not knowing any of them. And then the gagger happened. A double save. Nira was clearly the winner of that lip sync. And I thought of both of them, it was going to. But I felt about halfway through, I'm like, Amy is really killing it. Is she gonna get saved too? Because they could do a double save. They haven't done this so far in one of these seasons. At least not that I remember they've done a double save. So this would be the time to do it. It's a pretty solid lip sync. Lo and behold, they did. And I was gagged, and I'm still gagged that both of them got saved. I thought there was a very clear front runner in this lip sync. And both of them are here for one more week. And Brooke echoed the sentiment. The world has never needed drag more than right now. And I think that is very important. And I'm glad that both of them got to stay because I really do like Amy. And also, high key, I think they want Melinda gone. And I think that there would have been no such double save no matter how much Melinda would have turned it out. If she were on this runway, they would have booted her butt out. I think they want Amy. I think they know she's good TV. And I think they like Nira a lot. And I think they want to keep her as long as they can until she sabotages herself again. I'm kind of hoping this will be Nira's like Dieter Ritz moment, that maybe this will keep her out of the bottom. So much fire and passion all the way to the end. Maybe she makes it to like top 4 or 5 or somewhere in there. I would be totally happy if Nira made top 3 because I think she deserves it. I'm obsessed with this woman. Obsessed. And in the preview for next week, Snatch Game, it is over for half of them. I think that Kitten's gonna do great. I think that Melinda's gonna do great. I think that Nira's gonna be fine, maybe. I think that Venus is gonna do great. I think Venus is really gonna turn it out. But based off first improv challenge that we had, Kiki, Amy, Luna, they're gonna struggle. This is gonna be a rough Snatch Game. I feel like Aurora could go either way. I feel like it really depends on what Aurora chooses to do. But then the cutting of the music? Girl, I have so many questions about what's gonna happen next. Let me know what your thoughts were about this episode and who you thought should have been in the tops and who should have been in the bottom. I think that Kiki deserved it. I don't think it would have really made much of a difference about the winner, but I do feel like Luna and Nira really deserve to be in the top. I thought Kitten really deserved to be in the bottom this week. At the very least. Safe bottom. Because it was not good. Anyway, hopefully see you for another episode very soon. Goodbye. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to click that like button. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Goodbye.